is for you, the jury, to say and determine based upon the sworn testimony from this witness stand and the other evidence presented. But to kind of give you an idea of the contentions, again I say, the contentions of the parties, you've heard it from the beginning. And you can keep that in your mind as you listen to the evidence and you determine, you and you alone determine what the facts show or fail to show and what you find the just verdict to be in this case. The opening statements having been completed, the state may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. This time the state would call Siobhan Mathis to the stand.
All right. Ms. Mathis, come on around, please. I believe there's a Bible right up there. If you just remain standing, put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, face the clerk, take your oath, please.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Just have a seat, please. If you would keep your voice up as much as you can so everybody can hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you cannot hear a witness, raise your hand. Let us know you can't hear. We'll have everybody speak up. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, would you state your name, please?
Siobhan Mathis.
And Ms. Mathis, did you know the victim in this case, Laura Ackerson?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury when you first met Laura Ackerson?
I met her in March 2011.
And where were you living at the time that you met her? What city?
Kinston.
And when had you moved to the Kinston area?
It was recently. I can't tell you exactly the date, but I hadn't been there too long.
So when you said you hadn't been there too long before you met Ms. Ackerson?
Right.
Okay. Would you describe for the jury, if you would, the circumstances under which you first met Laura Ackerson?
She was working at the health food store, and I was looking for somewhere to, and the town is really not much there health-wise, and I was looking for a health food store, and someone told me about it. I went there, and I met her when I walked in, and we were joking around, and we just immediately hit it off and became friends. We exchanged numbers that day.
And at the time that you met Ms. Ackerson in March of 2011, were you working?
No, not at the time.
And you indicated that Ms. Ackerson was working at the health food store when you met her.
Yes.
And after that first day that you met her, did you continue to see her and visit with her?
Yes.
And when did you see her after that first day?
A couple days later. I think we talked on the phone the following day, and we may have met up like a day or so after that.
And during the time that you met up with her, a couple days after you first met her, did y'all begin to talk about going into business together?
Yes.
And can you describe to the jury kind of how that occurred and what business you were discussing with her?
Yes. We actually, we're just kind of getting to know each other, our likes and, hobbies and things like that. And I told her about a business that I was working on, and she just happened to be working on something similar, but it was like the other half that I didn't know how to do graphics, excuse me, and she did. So she was doing graphics, and I was doing this menu advertising, and we kind of just thought it was a good idea to combine it, put it together, and we kind of ran with it.
When you say that she was doing graphics at that time, did she have a graphic design business that she was working in?
She did.
And what was the name of her business?
Goldfish Graphic Designs.
And that was in addition to working at the health food store?
Yes.
Did you all eventually go into business together?
We did.
Okay, and about how long after that first meeting was it before you really started your business?
It wasn't long. Once we talked about it that day, we just were really excited, so we just started immediately making moves to get it up and running.
And what was the name of your business when you did get it up and running?
Fork and Spoon.
And was that a business whereby you provided menus to various restaurants?
Yes.
And how were you able to
We basically would provide the menus to the different restaurants for free, and we would charge our customers or whoever wanted to advertise. We would charge them for space on the menu. So that's how we were able to make the money.
And would that be they would pay you monthly for running your ad on a particular menu, or how did that work?
It really just depended on, I mean, we had different packages that they could choose from. But yeah, it could be on a monthly or annual basis.
And were you able to, working together, line up various advertisers that were willing to work with you and pay you to place their ads on these various menus?
Yes.
And was part of that business also getting various restaurants to agree to allow you to provide these menus with the ads?
Yes.
What area were you working? Where were the restaurants located?
We started in Kinston, and then we decided to branch out a little bit because Kinston is a very small town. Excuse me. So we decided that she was going to start looking for business out in the Wilson area, and I would go towards Goldsboro so we could kind of get the whole, eventually probably ending up in Raleigh, somewhere like that.
So in terms of, you started out in Kinston, you were looking towards the Wilson and Goldsboro area. So those are all eastern North Carolina, not far from each other?
Yes.
During that time, when this business got up and going, was it up and going, say, by the next month, April of 2000?
Yes.
Did you have a car?
No, not at the time.
Okay. And did Laura have a car?
Yes.
And what kind of car did she have?
She had a white Ford Focus.
And in terms of Laura at the time, where was she living?
She was living in Nantucket Lofts on Heritage Street in Kinston.
Okay. And what, is that an apartment or what's like?
It's an apartment building.
And was she living there alone, or did she live with someone else?
She was living there alone.
Did you, during the time that you knew Laura, become aware that she had 2 children?
Yes.
And what were you had the opportunity to be around Laura and the children?
Yes.
And what was the arrangement in terms of when the children stayed with her?
She had the children on the weekends from Friday until Sunday.
And were you aware of where the children were during the week?
Yes.
And where was that?
In Raleigh with their father.
Did you know their father's name?
Grant Hayes.
Okay. And had you, during the course of the time that you knew Laura, did you ever meet Grant Hayes?
No.
Were you aware that there was a court proceedings to make a determination about custody with regard to the 2 boys?
Yes.
And did you know that was something that was ongoing?
Yes.
Were you aware in August that there was a hearing set that was coming up?
Yes.
With regard to, you indicated that when you first met Laura, she was working at the health food store. Did she continue to work at the health food store?
For a short while, and once things got going with our business, she decided to pull out from the health food store because she was also working with her other business too. So she decided to stop working at the health food store.
And when you say other business, is that the
Go Fish, yes.
Did you have any other employment during that time?
I was receiving unemployment at the time.
And did you eventually go to work at the health food store?
I did.
Did you basically take her spot?
I did, yeah.
In terms of kind of your contact with Laura during this time, and I'm turning your attention to July of 2011, how often would you see Laura, speak with Laura on a given day?
I saw her every day, and We spent a lot of time together. So there wasn't a day that I could say we didn't speak at all. You know, we talked every day or saw each other or both.
And in terms of talked, if you did not see Laura face to face, how did you communicate with her?
Mostly by phone, but sometimes we would email too.
And you say when you saw her every day, was that typically in your home where you lived or at her home? Or
Mostly it would be at her house, but she would come over to my house sometimes too.
in July of 2011, how was the business, the Fork and Spoon business that you and Laura had started, how was it going?
It was expanding. We were trying to, get some more business going. Like I said, we were starting to get into different areas. So it was looking promising.
And you said that Laura had quit her job at the health food store to devote more time to that business?
Yes.
To your knowledge, was Laura also attending school?
Yes.
And where was she attending school?
At Pitt Community College.
Was that something that she was able to do online, or did she actually go to the classes?
She did it mostly online.
And did you know what she was studying?
I believe it was early childhood development, something like that.
And did you know what her plans were with regard to her education? And
she wanted to ultimately have a daycare center that was like organic. She would give the kids organic foods and like do holistic things with them and teach them all different types of things. She had wanted to do some kind of developmental plans with them. It was something along those lines.
And she had shared that with you, that was her plan?
Yes.
With regard to, I'd asked if you were aware that there was a court date coming up in August of 2011. You indicated that you were.
Yes.
Had you spoken with Laura about that court date and testifying in her behalf?
Yes.
And what do you recall about that?
I recall, I know that she was looking for people to, I guess, be character witnesses for her. I can't really recall if I said that I would or not, or I don't really remember what the whole situation was, about that. I can't say for sure.
Okay. But you knew that she was getting prepared for
Yes.
that court proceeding?
Yes.
Were you aware that there was a psych evaluation that was being done as part of the custody hearing and the court proceedings in Livermore County?
Yes.
And did you become aware that Laura had received the report of the results back of that psych evaluation?
Yes.
And did she share with you her feelings on getting that psych evaluation back?
Yes.
And what did she tell you?
She called me and she was like, I got the psych eval. She was really excited when she called me. She's like, I got the psych eval back. I'm not the crazy one. I'm not the crazy one. And she was just excited that she was going to get the kids back because she had done her portion, but Grant hadn't done his.
So she was hopeful upon getting that psych evaluation done?
Yes.
Do you know when that conversation took place with regard to getting that psych evaluation back?
Maybe a week or two prior to her death. It wasn't far.
So that would have been in July of 2013? I'm sorry, July
2000.
2011.
Yes.
With regard to, you've indicated that you would see Laura about every day. Were you aware of a recorder that she carried with her?
Yes.
And did you ever see her use that recorder?
Yes.
can you describe that for the jury, what you saw, and whether or not you had any discussion with her about that?
Okay. Um, well, one day we were riding together in the car, and Grant called her phone, and she immediately took the little recorder out the side of her the car door panel, and she plugged it into her phone prior to answering the phone. And then she answered the phone and spoke with him, and she recorded the whole conversation. At the time, I didn't feel that was my business to ask her about that, so I didn't. But later on, as our relationship grew, she did tell me why she did. You know, she told me that she recorded everything, their conversations, their emails, and all of their correspondence.
And did she tell you why she did that?
Yes, she was fearful of him, and she wanted to document everything, you know, that he said, everything that he did.
And you indicated that you saw her do this recording at least. Did you just see that on that one occasion, or did you?
That's the one time that I really remember her doing it. I probably have seen her do it more, but I can say that one time I remember her doing it.
And you indicated that she documented contacts.
Hmm.
What did you see her do besides the recording? What else?
Besides the recording, she would write down everything. She also had an email that she told me about where they would correspond to one another, but she had a secret email account with one of her other friends that she would forward all of the emails that he sent to that particular account and to another account, because she was afraid that he could get into the initial account, you know, that they used to email between. So she had a separate account that she would send it to, where one of her friends, only one other person, Heidi, knew about that account, or how to access the account, because she told me about the account.
You had indicated that you were aware of the arrangement whereby Laura had the kids on the weekends there in Kinston, and that the Grant and General IV would be with their father during the week. To your knowledge, were there typically midweek visits where Laura would see the children, the boys, in the middle of the week?
On occasion.
And do you recall an incident about one of those midweek visits about a month before her death?
Yes.
And can you describe to the jury what you recall about that?
They had taken the kids to Monkey Joe's, and when it was time to leave, the kids were trying to, you know, hug her, and they didn't want to leave from her. And so Grant grabbed the kids up and like tossed them in the car, and they were crying and screaming and everything. So after that, I guess he pulls off, I don't know, but she calls me, and she was just crying hysterically, telling me, you know, what had happened.
And did she relate to you about any future visits as a result of kind of that incident? Did she talk to you any more about like midweek visits?
No.
Ms. Mathis, in terms of your friendship and knowledge and being in business with Laura Ackerson, could you describe for the jury kind of her priorities as you observed them?
She was doing everything she could do to get the kids back. That was what her objective was every day. She was just trying to do whatever she could do to get those children back.
Do you, and kind of turning your attention specifically to July the 12th of 2011, which would have been a Tuesday, do you recall spending some time with Laura on that day, the Tuesday?
Yes.
And can you describe what contact you had with her on that day?
We were out. She took me out to look for a car because I was trying to get a car so we could do what we were trying to do for business. Nothing unusual.
So you had indicated previously that you didn't have a car, but on that day you had gone car shopping?
Yes.
And after you finished shopping, did you and Laura discuss the plan for the next day?
Yes.
And go ahead.
She had some appointments set up in the Wilson area, and so she was going to do the appointments. I hadn't found a car that day, so I was going to just try to make, some appointments myself on the phone and do what I could do on the phone while she was out doing the appointments in Wilson.
And when you say appointments, was this for your pork and food business?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, did those appointments involve going to various restaurants to see if they would take your menus?
Yes.
Had those been appointments that she had set up?
Yes.
And do you recall about what time it was when you last saw Laura on the 12th?
Early evening, maybe about between 4 and 4:30, somewhere around there.
Okay. On the 13th, the following day, which would be that Wednesday, did you speak with Laura?
No.
Was there any contact?
Oh, on the 13th. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell the jury, if you would, your contact with Laura on the 13th.
She was out doing the appointments. She would call me after she left each one of her appointments, and she was very excited because she kept landing the account. So every time she finished one of the appointments, she would call me and tell me, hey, I got it. I got another one. And I was just encouraging her throughout the day. That's basically what we were doing through the day.
Okay. So there were more than one
Yeah.
phone call between you and Laura?
Yes.
And would you say it was a pretty good day, upbeat, in terms of the business and what was going on?
Yes.
Did you have any knowledge about any plans that Laura had in Raleigh for that afternoon or evening?
Yes.
What information did you have?
She was supposed to be meeting up with an artist to do some type of portfolio for her.
So Laura was going to meet with an artist?
It was one of her friends.
And was that somebody that you knew?
Not at the time, no.
And so Laura was going to provide some services for her friend?
Yes.
The artist. Had Laura shared that with you and told you that was what her plan was?
Yes.
Did you all make a plan about when you would next talk?
Yes.
And describe that for the jury if you would.
We were supposed to talk later on that evening when she got back home. I didn't really know what time that would be, but I was assuming around 9 or 9:30. But I never spoke to her.
Had Laura said anything to you either the day before on the 12th or the 13th about seeing her boys in Raleigh?
No.
So your information and understanding was that she was coming to Raleigh to meet with her friend, the artist?
Yes.
Do you know how far it is between Raleigh and Kinston?
About an hour and a half.
And do you know about what time of day it was when you last spoke with Laura on the 13th?
Oh, let me think for a second. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. I'm thinking maybe around 3:30 or 4. But I know I can remember her saying she had one last meeting to go to.
So it was prior to her last appointment in the Wilson area?
Yes.
And I believe you said you didn't hear from her that night like you expected to?
No.
Did you attempt to get up with Laura the following day, the Thursday the 14th?
Yes.
And can you describe your efforts to get up with Laura on that day?
I called her many times, a lot of times. And then I hadn't heard anything from her. It was just going to her voicemail, which was really odd because she always left her phone on. And so I walked past her apartment, and you could see like clear through the garage, and her car wasn't there.
So on the 14th, you indicated when you tried to get up with her that it would immediately go to voicemail,
Yes,
and that was concerning to you.
yes.
You said that she would always have her phone on. Why was that? Why would she always have her phone on?
Because she didn't want to miss calls from her kids
Do you know how often she talked to her kids?
every day.
Do you know if she talked to her kids more than once every day?
I believe so, yes. She tried to.
If and when you tried to call and it went straight to voicemail, is that what prompted you to walk over to her apartment?
Yes,
You've indicated that you were able to look into the garage. Can you describe basically how is the garage an area where there's parking for all the apartments?
yes. It's a gated, a closed-in secure garage, but you can see straight through the front to the back. And there are just parking spots on both sides.
And when you looked in the garage, you not able to see her car?
No.
Did you try to go up to the door of the apartment?
At that time, no.
Did Laura have any other transportation that you're aware of outside of her white Ford Focus?
No.
Ms. Holt, we haven't had an afternoon break. I think we're going to take about a 10-minute break. Everybody's constitution is different, and after a couple hours, you may need a break. So, folks, we're going to take about a 10-minute break. Every time we take a break, you just leave your notes in the chair. When we retire at night, you will not be taking your notes home. The clerk will collect the notes. We'll put them in a sealed envelope. We'll put them back in your chair tomorrow morning. Do the same thing at lunch. Do the same thing at night. So the notes will always be here. You won't forget your notes because you will not take them away from here with you. And you'll have them here. They will remain sealed. The only person that knows what's in them are you. But on the break, just leave your notes in the chair. We're going to take about a 10-minute break. The bailiff will show you how to get in and get out. Don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't make up your mind about it. Keep an open mind. Don't form or express any opinion about the guilt or innocence of the defendant or any matter in controversy. Be careful about your conduct. Follow my previous instructions. And take about the restrooms back here. Take about 10 minutes and then collect back in the jury room, and we'll call you back in. Thank you. Y'all just take your break. Thank you.